Good morning, students. Welcome to the subject of productions and operations management. We are dealing with our unit number 5, that is all about aggregate planning and maintenance management. This unit has been divided into 3 parts so that we can learn each part coinciding with the other one, and we can learn it differently also, right? As we have divided this unit into 3 parts, like aggregate planning and the related topics. It is say the capacity planning and the related topic, the CRP and related topic, right? And in the third part we'll be learning about the maintenance management. Now, in the previous session we have already seen that what is capacity planning, right, quite in detail. And right now in this session we'll be taking up with CRP, which is commonly known as capacity requirement planning. Capacity planning and capacity requirement planning is little bit different in the sense that here we will focus more on, say, labor, or maybe on the work hours, or maybe the materials that is required, right? So it is more or less a connected topic, but it's capacity planning can be an overall kind of planning in which we are taking all the installations together all the assets together, and how the capacity can be worked out, that is being done. Here when we are talking about CRP, it is dependent more on MRP and RRP, right? That means material requirement planning it is more dependent on, and likewise the requirement is gathered and the planning is done, right? So when we'll see the topics in detail, it should be more clear to you all. Here we'll be starting with introduction, we'll be seeing with the definitions, we'll check with the importance also, and the process of CRP. The process of CRP cannot be common for each and every organization. It depends and it more or less depends on the size, maybe the type of production process that it may be taking, or what type of people are being used, what type of expertise kind of knowledge that they are using, and likewise. And at last we'll be checking with the types of CRP also in different situation. So let us begin with CRP. If we want to understand the concept of CRP, we'll start from the very beginning, that is capacity requirement planning, which is often known as CRP. Now what is this? It is the process of discerning a firm's available production capacity and to check whether it can meet its production goals or not. It is the process, what type of process of a firm, that whatever the available production capacity is, whether it is able to meet the production goals of the future or not, or maybe the near future or not. When you check this with the help of the available resources or available production capacity, that is known as the CRP. Now CRP is the first method that examines a company's planned manufacturing schedule. That is MPS, right? It takes up all the manufacturing schedule in the hand, and then it plans out the CRP. Then capacity requirement planning evaluates the schedule against the company's actual production capabilities to see if the current capacity can successfully meet the existing production schedule or not. See, whatever expected demand is, accordingly the company starts the planning of or producing the product. Before taking up the production in hand, it is very important to take up with CRP, because it is such a process that evaluates what it evaluates. It evaluates the existing capacity, and it tries to see that whatever the manufacturing schedule has been taken up or has been drawn, actually we will be able to meet with the existing production capacity or not. And that is why it is very important function of any manufacturing unit. Now CRP is the process through which a company, primarily in manufacturing, figures out how much product it needs to produce and decides if it has the ability to meet its production goals or not. It is a kind of roadmap, right, through which what a company comes to know that whatever the manufacturing products are, or whatever the expected manufactured products are, and this is a scheduled manufacturing. We have to meet this manufacturing schedule with the company's ability, right? Ability what? Ability to produce something. When we want to match this, then we need to take up with CRP, and CRP is such a process through which company actually figures out that whatever the expected production is and whatever the existing capacity do we have, with that will we be able to meet the production goals or not. It can also be understood as a management tool that is based on using company's resource efficiently by projecting its production expectations accurately. Very important is this. It is a kind of tool. It is a kind of a kind of method that is available in the hands of management. With it, what it comes to know? It comes to know that whatever the company's resources are, whether they are more, whether they are less, that area will be seen under CRP. How? Because whatever the production projecting is, or whatever the projected production is or expected production is, when you want to take up with that expected production, what you have to directly look at, you have to directly look at the company's resources, whether we'll be able to use them efficiently or not. If, see, all of a sudden if you start producing without any planning, it may be difficult. That at times you may be using all the, say, resources, and at the end you will be producing, say, it may be overproduction, or at times you may be using, or you may not be using the capacity to its fullest, and then ultimately what you come out is you have a shortfall of the production. So in both the cases it's a loss to the company. So to bear that, or to say nullify that thing, what is being done? CRP is taken up so that all the resources can be used up very efficiently. Now, if a company finds that its production capacity is inadequate, naturally when you start comparing that these many units you are supposed to produce against whatever the capacity you have, then what happens is you can immediately match that, okay, if 200 units are to be produced at the end of the month, whether we are having all the resources related to producing 200 units or not. If not, if it is inadequate, then we can make the changes in the production goals. We can make it to, say, 150 units or maybe 175 units, or we can change the production capacity if possible. So it may also be able to take other required steps to bring the expectation, which could include the contracting within the with some another firm that has the excess capacity to handle its production. This is one more case. See, I'll amalgamate both the points and I'll try to explain it to you. See, if a company finds that a production capacity is inadequate means it's not sufficient, right? It may have to alter the production goals. Suppose instead of 200 units, my unit is only able to produce 100 units. Then in that case, I don't want to lose my 200 units demand. Then what am I supposed to do? Then in the next step, I can even go for contracting with the another similar type of firm with which I have a good relationship, and where what happens is, there the excess capacity is there, and that my 100 unit can be produced with their excess capacity on the whatever the price basis is, right? And likewise I'll be able to produce 200 units at the end of the month. This way the things can be worked out in the case of inadequacy, or even if there is say a more amount of, or maybe there is sufficient resources available and there is idle capacity, then even I can take the excess order from somewhere else or some other firm, and I can take up a subcontracting there or contracting there, and likewise I can create a new source of income. So it may be the vice versa condition, but how we'll come to know? It is only through CRP that we can match that area, right? Thus CRP is such a kind of technique that decides the labor and equipment's capacity that are required for meeting the production objectives given in MPS and MRP, that is manufacturing planning schedule and material requirement planning. Whatever is done at the below level, if you remember top bottom approach, right, then you must have understood this, that MRP, RRP, which is taken up at the below level or maybe at the lower level, that according to that requirement we can plan out with the production capacities, and that is how we can take up with this technique, which actually matches whatever the labor and equipment requirement of the firm is and what the firm actually possess. So likewise CRP becomes a very important technique and a tool. If we try to check out with the definitions, then we can see that CRP or capacity requirement is capacity needed during a process of determining the production capacity needed during a particular period by an organization to meet the changing demand for its product. CRP is such a kind of technique through which the production capacity can be measured, right, with the changing demand, and this when we do is said to be CRP. So CRP is an accounting method used to decide the available production capacity of the company. It first assesses, that means examines, the schedule of the production that has been planned by the company's management. Means whatever the the material requirement planning is done at the lower level, then it turns up into MPS, right, that is material manufacturing planning schedule. Based on these MPS, what we try to do is we try to match that, okay, if this manufacturing schedule we have to follow, then actually will we be able to make up or not? With what? With the existing resources, with the existing labor, maybe the existing installed capacity, whether we'll be able to make it or not. If not, then whatever the changes are, whatever the steps are to be taken, whatever the strategies are to be formed, that can be framed easily, right? So here we are checking out with the importance, why CRP is so much of importance to a manufacturing unit, because a company's success highly depends on its planning for the future. Without a solid plan, a business owner may have to risk the unforeseen issues. Naturally, I just told you that if you randomly start with the production of anything and you turn up either with overstocking or maybe the understocking, in both the cases what happens is it is a risk to the success. And that is why if you do not want to do that, it's always that planning is taken up. Planning itself means to see the future, to plan the future, to bear the unforeseen issues or maybe unforeseen circumstances. You want to prevent unforeseen circumstances, and that is why you try to prepare yourself accordingly. Like in the short term, CRP has both the long term and the short term effect, right? We have checked it out with two different points for short term and long term also. Like in the short term, monthly and quarterly sales numbers are heavily affected by whether the company is prepared for the regular ups and downs of the customer demand or not. Like it's short term means it's just a monthly quarterly thing if you want to arrange. Then if there is say if it's a festive period, right, and there can be ups and downs in a particular demand of that particular goods, then in that case will we be able to meet up with that demand or ups and downs in a short period or not? That can be known with the help of CRP. Again, not being able to meet the customer demand can often mean losing the customers to the competition. Naturally, if we plan out, we come to know that if we want to manufacture these many units, we have enough capacity or not. If not, then we can plan out to get it maybe contracted as we have seen, or we have to see that we will be able to make any changes, drastic changes. Most of the time those changes are not possible, so you can say make the changes through aggregate planning, say by making the shifts, making more shifts to work, making the fullest utilization of whatever the labor do you have or whatever the machines that are kept idle. Yes, these many permanent temporary changes can be done, but all of a sudden you can't have the installation of big two machines extra that can help you out with the matching up with the manufacturing schedule. Something like that cannot be done. Then in that case, with the help of CRP, we actually come to know that whether we'll be able to meet the demand arising in this period of time or not. If not, then we have to be ready of losing the customers to our competitors, right? So this is what is the importance of CRP in short run. Now what happens in long run? Then in CRP can help to decide how much a company will need to invest in its employees, materials and equipments. Naturally, if you are taking up the long term planning and if you are trying to make the aggregate demand say of the 16 to 18 months, or maybe you are making a long term plan beyond that, then at that time we come to know that there is a kind of upward trend of the demand of whatever you produce. Then in that case you come to know that whatever the extra amount you need to invest, maybe in the equipments, maybe in the materials and employees, means a company gets a lump sum idea as to whatever the changes are required in the long run. Even the differences between the capacity estimates and the actual production output can result in a shortage of products in the personnel, causing the long delays in the deliveries and even unfilled customer demand. That can also be found out, that if there is any disturbances, if there is any differences between the capacity that you have estimated and the actual production output, right? You may have expected to produce, say suppose 200 units at the end of the month, but at the end you only come up with say 150 100 units. Then in that case, that shortage of product, maybe because of the personal, maybe because of the materials, or maybe because of any of the equipments, that may cause either the delays in the deliveries, or even you may have to just leave the customers demand unfulfilled. So all these things has to be checked out, and all these things can be worked out with the help of CRP. That is why, in fact, poor CRP can also lead to oversupply, in which unused inventory ties up a company's revenue. Naturally, if the CRP is not done, then what happens is that at the end you come up with the oversupply, or maybe it may be the unused capacity. In both the cases, we'll see in the next part of the session that it is overutilization and underutilization of the resources. What happens because of that? In both the circumstances, it is the company who has to pay the dues. So both the circumstances are not the ideal one, and that is why a kind of there has to be a balance that has to be struck. Neither the company should be using over resources, nor it should be underutilization. There has to be a balanced utilization, and when it does this is possible only through CRP, because CRP beforehand gives you the idea that whatever the expected or projected demand is, as against it, whether we have got the resources to satisfy those demands or not. So it can be made easy. And again, the poor CRP should be avoided because it leads to oversupply, or maybe the unused inventories get tied up with the, you are already not using the inventories, or you are not making the use of the capacity, then already it is carrying a kind of overhead with it. So it's a kind of burden to the company at the end. So this is the importance of CRP. When we move to the process, as I told you in the beginning also, the process cannot be the same for all the for all the manufacturing unit. It depends on the type of product that it produces, what kind of demand that product has, what type of installation the company has, whatever the policies of the management may be of the company. But more or less, whatever the steps that we are going to follow, these 6 to 7 steps are generally being followed by the companies taking up with CRP. Suppose, first of all, what it tries to do when it takes up with the CRP, it tries to select the appropriate planning process, that how we want to plan out. In the second place, what it tries to see, it tries to identify whatever the resources that are to be made to the use, right? In the third stage, it tries to measure the performance, that if these resources are there, but if the working resources or the performing resources are not enough, then that has to be measured. So third step, we measure all the uses of or the performances of the resources. In the fourth stage, what can we do? We can compare the use of the key resources with maximum level of capacity. Suppose material, manpower and the machines, three things are the key resources, and whatever we have with us right now, whether it will be able to meet or give up with the maximum level of capacity of their output or not, that is to be done. Because unless we don't compare, we'll not come to know about the shortfalls. Then what do we do at the fifth stage? We arrange for the extra capacity in the case of excess demand, and otherwise we use the excess capacity in the case of shortfall in the demand. In both the cases, it depends. See, both the cases cannot be simultaneous, that you are having the excess capacity also and you are falling the short of the resources also. Something like that cannot be there, right? So if there is excess demand, the extra capacity has to be arranged, and if there is short in the demand, then the extra capacity has to be used, otherwise it will create the overheads. So in both the cases have been shown in as two steps, but simultaneous steps they are. They cannot be worked out at the same time. It can be either or, right? Once that is clear, that whether you have the excess demand over the excess capacity or over the capacity, or you have the shortfall in the demand. In both the situation, once the idea is clear, then we can make the strategies related to underutilization or overutilization of the resources. That can be drafted very well, and that is what is said to be the process of CRP. If you try to listen to whatever it has been explained to you, whatever the points have been mentioned in the slides, it will be easy for you to understand the concept, right? So there is I don't think there is any kind of confusion there. So at the first stage, what we do, we select the appropriate planning. At the second stage, we identify the resources that we are to use. At the third stage, we try to measure the performance. At the fourth stage, we try to compare whatever the resources we have and what maximum level of capacity it can give. At the fifth stage, either we try to arrange with the excess, we try to make the arrangement for excess demand, or we try to make the arrangement with the shortfall in the demand. And then accordingly, there can be the strategies related to underutilization or overutilization can be drafted or can be checked out by the company. So that comes to an end of process of CRP. When we move to the types of CRP, I have told you about the two situations just beforehand, right? So in both the situation, it gives a two types of kind of CRP. One is during the overutilization, when there is rise in the demand, then how we use the resources, and when there is fall in the demand, how we use the resources. In both the cases, it is like overutilization of the resources, and in the next case, when there is fall in demand, there can be the say underutilization of the resources. Now both this type of CRP can be there in two different situations. Mind you, both the situations cannot be at the same time. Suppose when there is rise in demand, then what type of the strategy would be on the part of the management planning for CRP? It will be overutilization of resources. How that can be done? By making the overtime management for overtime working facilities for the workers. That means overtime working can be given to them. Again, it may be working on the extra days, maybe on the holidays, or maybe the week offs. You may have to make the workers work, right? Next, to enhance productivity, implementing of the group or individual plans. That means if when we see that we have to meet the demand, we have to meet the rise in demand, then a kind of incentive is being provided to the individuals or maybe in the group, and then it helps to enhance the productivity, because that productivity will help us to give more amount of output, and that can meet the demand ultimately. Next comes up is to check sudden breakdowns. Use if preventive maintenance is to be done. Sudden breakdown can be checked out and preventive maintenance can be made to use. Again, managing outsourcing with the suppliers. If you come to know, I'll continue the example. If you come to know that 100 units, yes, you will be able to produce, or say 150 units with the existing capacity you will be able to produce, but there are chances that the demand may even exceed this 150. It may be 200 to 225 units, but your capacity is almost done. You cannot go beyond this capacity. Then we can outsource from the suppliers also, so that ultimately we are meeting the demand and we are not losing the customers, right? And then again, the rescheduling of the demand can be done in case of favorable client, right? Again, if you wish to, you can reschedule the demand and you can meet the requirements exactly according to the demand that are arising, right? So this is what is when we are trying to meet the rise in demand. We make the overuse of the resources available. We are trying to check out there that none of the resources at the idle point, and instead we try to see that things can be worked out in a better manner, right? When we see the next case, which is almost inverse, or say of the situation that we have seen earlier, then when there is a kind of fall in demand, that gives the underutilization kind of situation. Now what happens at that time? There is fall in demand, that means the capacity is not going to be used. When capacity is not going to be used, it will be excess capacity that becomes a burden. Instead of that burden, what can be done is we can take up those capacity to the use by bringing them to the lease, or maybe by say we are trying to see that those capacity can be worked out for on the contracting basis. You may have the contracted with somebody else, and that a part of production can be done by your unit. With that, what happens is that we are reducing the burden. It is not creating the overheads. Instead, we try to generate the money out of it. Again, we can tie up with some kind of suppliers, that instead we can produce, our suppliers can produce it on our behalf. Because if we start with the production, then it may not be able to meet the, or it may not be able to say survive with whatever the expenses are created. So at that time, something like that can be done. Third case, what happens is to develop new product to use the idle capacity. Naturally, if you find that the capacity is remaining idle for a long period of time, then in that case, even we can, or even being the manufacturer, we can plan out with the new production capacity, or maybe new production, new products can be produced rather, so that ultimately we can make the use of whatever capacity we have. Next is to take up the price discrimination with the break-even analysis. Yes, we can produce that much amount wherein we are at the point where there is no profit, no loss. So with the help of break-even analysis, we can make the price discrimination in such a manner that the company is not say incurring the loss. At least we are producing to the break even point, right? So something like this can be worked out. But when it can be done? If there is proper CRP done, right? And the next and the last one is disposal of permanently non-use property. If you find that these some properties or some machines are such, or maybe they are outdated, or they are obsolete, or some part of the unit is such which is some facilities are such which are not at all going to be used anymore by the unit, then at that time we can make the disposal of such kind of unit, not creating the burden on the manufacturer or the unit. Instead, we try to bring the capital back to the company, so that can be utilized or reutilized for some other purposes. So this is how when there is a fall in the demand, we can take up with the strategies related to CRP. This is how it becomes the two types of CRP there. Actually, it's not two type of CRP, but in different situation, how we can make up with the CRP that has been shown here, right? So that's the end of CRP portion here. If you just try to see it, what we have seen is we have checked out with the introduction, right? We have tried to see the definitions, we have tried to see the importance, we have seen the general process for it, and at the end we have also seen that in two different situations how the CRP works out. Now we are moving towards the last part of the unit, that is the connected part, that is known as maintenance management. Here also we'll be checking out with 5 different points or concepts. In this session we may not be able to see the whole thing, but yes, we'll try to see the introductory portion, and then the rest we take it to the next session. If we try to see what is maintenance management, then I don't think that's a new term for you. See, any unit, when it produces something, it installs so much of fixed assets. There is building, there are equipments, there are so many types of assets that are made to use, right? There are so many types of maybe softwares that are maybe made to use. Now all these things require wear and tear. These all facilities require a kind of maintenance. Unless we don't maintain it properly over a period of time, then what happens is it will crash, it will have a breakdown, and breakdown of these facilities or maybe equipments or maybe the machines means it is a major loss to the unit. To avoid this, a kind of maintenance management department is created many a times in the unit, so that their sole purpose is to take up with the wear and tear of all the facilities that are ultimately used for production process. And with this maintenance management, what they try to see that we are, is there any factor that hampers the production cycle? Is there any such kind of situation which is actually not allowing the production cycle to move smoothly? Then all those things are being prevented, or maybe they are being repaired, they are being maintained, so that ultimately the smooth running of production cycle can be there. And when such a kind of activity is taken up, it is known as more or less as maintenance management, right? We try to introduce ourselves. The core or the crux of the maintenance management is what I just said. We'll see with the different points here. Thus, maintenance management is the process of maintaining company's assets and resources. Naturally, once you install, things are not over. Our responsibility is over, and let it work by its own. Let it be howsoever automated systems you have been using, but somewhere or the other it needs to be maintained from time to time. And if there is any negligence in maintenance, then it may create a lot of problem in future, right? Or it may be a complete shutdown, or maybe a complete breakdown of the production cycle, which is not affordable at all by any manufacturer. So it is very important to see that the maintenance management of any company works very well. The purpose is to ensure that the production proceeds efficiently and the resources are used effectively. Naturally, maintenance management is one of those aspects of managing a company that is usually not explored in depth. Yes, that's a different thing that um, uh, in since the near past, or maybe in the recent past only, the maintenance management has got its own importance, because till then it was not explored, it was not taken up to that much of importance, that okay, if the breakdown happens, we'll repair it and we'll bring it back. But when you are having a bulk production done, when you are meeting with the market demands, when there is cutthroat competition, then in all these situation, hampering of production cycle is big issue, and that cannot be afforded. So maintenance management has got its importance in the recent past, right? So maintenance management is thus an important component of well functioning production. It helps the companies how to maintain their resources by controlling time and cost to ensure that maximum efficiency of manufacturing process can be utilized, and the utilities and the related facilities are made to use properly. For all these purpose, the maintenance management is a must. It's a kind of tool. What kind of tool? That helps to secure a reliable and satisfactory quality of the production. It helps to have the reliable, that means on which you can depend, and satisfactory quality of production can be there, because ultimately you are going to retain your customers on the basis of that. And safety of the employee is there. There is protection of the environment, and likewise we can make the say whatever the requirements are, we can manage it, we can handle it, and that is the purpose of maintenance management. So once the production capacity is installed, the next immediate challenge would be to have the reliable use of it. Whatever we have installed, only installation is not going to solve the problem, only installation will not make us feel free. It is proper maintenance that will help them to work properly, and that is why the maintenance management strives to assure the functional reliability of the installed production capacity. Every organization or industry use various types of processes for production of goods and services. We know this. This is possible only if there is enough use of machines and equipments properly. Unless we don't use the machines and equipments properly, they are not maintained, they are not in a good working condition, or if there is no proper wear and tear for it, then what happens is that they'll not give us the complete output. Now these equipments and assets are to be protected and maintained, as I told you, right? So that in order so that they can be made to use for in a proper working condition, and there has to be repair that has to be ensured on a regular basis, so that the working condition can be managed, the breakdowns can be minimized. This is the function of production management, which is concerned with the day-to-day problem of keeping the physical plant in a good condition. Naturally, it is such a kind of say area of production management, such a kind of work of production management. If you remember, in the first unit we have taken up with the scope of POM. Therein we had maintenance management as a part of activity or function of production management. Why? Because it is the work of production management to see that whatever we are installing, whatever the types of machines do we have, whatever the facilities that we are using are properly from day to day they are away from day-to-day problems, they are being repaired, they are being given the wear and tear, so that ultimately for whatever purpose they have been installed, that can be gained. Thus, it is essential for ensuring the availability of the machines, buildings, and also additional services that helps to perform their functions effectively. Thus, maintenance management is must. Only putting up or only installing maybe the complete automated plant may not be enough. Its maintenance and day-to-day maintenance, their regular maintenance from time to time, looking at all the aspects of wear and tear, just trying to see that whether everything is being performed properly or not is a work of maintenance management, and that has to be taken up by the manufacturing unit. It's very important and crucial activity. Thus, maintenance management can be understood like this: is a management function of ensuring the fullest availability of the production equipment, utilities, and related facilities at the optimum cost and under satisfactory conditions of quality, safety, and the protection of the environment. That means whatever we are using, with the optimum, we are making the facilities to work it's to its best. We are trying to see that there is satisfactory condition available, the quality is being maintained, the safety of the worker is there, and even at the same time we are protecting the environment. Thus, there can be two types of categories of management. One is maintaining the assets. Assets include what? Like building, parking lots, maybe lawns, fences, services, and other utilities. And maintaining the major equipments which are actually there for producing an item. Maybe the equipments, machineries, the vehicles that may be used, even the material handling equipments may be there, the office equipments may be there, the inspection tools are there, waste disposal systems may be there. There are so many things that we are using, and those things have to be maintained, and that becomes the second aspect. So two types of maintenance can be there. One is maintaining the overall assets of the firm, right? It includes the building and other utilities and other facilities, and the other one is maintaining the major equipments which are actually used for the production of the items. This is what is said to be the maintenance management, right? When we check out with the objectives, if we have understood the meaning of the maintenance management, then I don't think the objectives are difficult to understand. Actually, they are the importance or maybe the purpose for which the maintenance management is done. So let us see it. It is the first one: to make the efficient use of maintenance of the personnel and equipment. Means we can make best use of equipments that we have installed, and with the help of that we can even make the use of personnel that we have. It helps to have that. Next, equipment breakdowns, failure can be controlled naturally if you have proper maintenance management. Equipments, we can help the equipments before the total breakdown. Again, we can minimize the repair time and repair cost, because you know that from time to time, suppose it's like servicing of our vehicles. If we are using the vehicles every day, then we know that after 2 months it needs a kind of total servicing, right? Or total it needs a kind of lubricating oil. You need to get the brakes checked, you need to have the plugs checked, and likewise. So we know that it will not turn up into a great crash down, and then what happens is the vehicle is out of use for 3-4 days. To avoid that, what we do, from time to time we make the repairing of those things, and we try to see that the repair cost is also under control, right? We also try to minimize the loss due to production stoppage, because once it is a breakdown, total breakdown, then we'll see in the types of maintenance management that if we wait till total breakdown there, then it will be a complete stoppage of production, and that's not an ideal situation. To maintain the assets and other facilities in good working condition from time to time, if you repair and if you maintain the equipments and machines that we are using, naturally it will be in a good working condition, which will improve the performance ultimately. Next, to reduce the rate of it's not red there, it is rate of wear and tear, and help to extend the life of assets. Naturally, if we keep on replenishing or replacing the tools or maybe the sub components or parts from time to time which are out of order, then it helps to have the good life of the assets. Then we can minimize the accidents through the regular inspections, right? And safety can be maintained Next, to help, or it helps to improve the productivity and the quality of the products. Next, it gives the effective and preventive maintenance, which helps to minimize the cost on repairs. Ultimately, we don't have to spend too much on cost of repairs once if preventive maintenance and effective maintenance is done in advance, right? And can also help to make the maximum use of facilities by keeping it up to date. The ultimate purpose is this: to make the facilities, whatever facilities we may be using, whatever the equipments we may be using, we need to make the best use of it, or we want to have the best out of it. Then we have to keep them in order, and keeping them in order is the purpose of any maintenance management. So it's a simple thing to understand. It's a simple concept of production management, that is maintenance management, which more or less any manufacturing unit would be carrying out. So in the next session, we'll be trying to see the different parts of the other topics also, right? Here we quickly just see the functions. If the objectives are clear, function should be clear. We can divide the functions of the maintenance management into two parts, that is primary function and secondary function. Primary function, by now we are clear that it is maintaining of the existing plant and equipments. Again, it tries to maintain the building and other facilities which are required for production. Again, third important area is there may be any kind of alteration that may be demanded, and that can be done in the existing plant and facilities once it comes under the eye of maintenance management. Even at the time new installation of the equipments or construction of new facilities is required, that can also be a part of or functions of maintenance management. Next comes up is there can be proper inspection that can be worked out. Lubrication of the equipments may be there. Lubrication means oiling the equipments, right, to avoid the friction. So that is also the work that has to be done by maintenance management. And the sixth one is generating and distributing the utilities that may be required to maintain the say the resources or maintain the facilities or maybe maintaining the equipments. These are considered to be the primary functions, right? When we move to the secondary functions, they are more or less the helping functions of the primary functions, like storekeeping, proper accounting system is being done. There may be the pollution and noise control system that is under maintenance management. Yes, waste disposal system is to be checked by it. Fire protection of the plant can be there in case of say any inflammable items if available, right? There has to be proper sanitary housekeeping and cleaning facilities that has to be maintained. Insurance against fire theft has to be maintained. Again, other facilities for plant management, for maintenance, whatever the facilities or services that we may be using to make the plant or make the production capacity available, that can be done very easily. So these are the functions. So what we have checked out up till now related to maintenance management is what is maintenance management, the meaning of maintenance management, right? We have seen the objectives of maintenance management, and we have also tried to see whatever the functions it performs. In the next part, we'll be seeing the types of management, which is important from your examination point of view, right? For now, we end up the session here, wherein we have checked out with the CRP and we have introduced ourselves to the maintenance management. In the next session, we'll be carrying out more with the maintenance management. By the time we meet next, it's a goodbye from my side. Thank you. Take care.